The leaked transcript of a 14-minute phone call on July 23rd between President Biden and Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani reveals a stunning admission from Biden. Quote, "I need not tell you the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things are not going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. And there is a need, whether it is true or not, there is a need to project a different picture." The U.S. president goes on to encourage Ghani to hold a press conference with prominent leaders pushing a new military strategy that will, quote, change perception. 3 weeks later, Ghani has fled abroad, apparently with millions of U.S. dollars. His army dissolved, the U.S. military withdrawn, its billions of dollars of fighting equipment allegedly disabled, now in the hands of the Taliban, parading said disabled equipment in victory through the frightened streets of Kabul. Asked about the phone call on Wednesday, Press Secretary Jen Psaki deflected.
Well, I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leaked transcripts of phone calls. But what I can reiterate for you is that we have stated many times that no one anticipated, the vast majority, I should say, there may have been individuals and agencies, so I don't want to eliminate that option, but our national security team and no one in Congress, or I would say most people out in the public, anticipated that the Taliban would be able to take over the country as quickly as they did, or that the Afghan national security forces would fold as quickly as they did.
Getting into, to use Psaki's words, private diplomatic conversations is precisely what Democrats did 2 years ago, when a private conversation between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky was leaked and served as the basis of the second impeachment and Senate acquittal of Trump. GOP lawmakers skewered the apparent double standard. Quote, "Yet more evidence that Joe Biden is totally disconnected from the real world," tweeted Georgia Representative Jody Hice, adding, "Changing perception is political spin, not national security strategy." The results of Biden lies was 13 brave Americans losing their lives. "He needs to resign," tweeted Texas Representative Ronnie Jackson. Resignation appears unlikely, as does impeachment.
The president's not going to be removed from office in the Democratic House, narrowly Democratic Senate. That's not going to happen.
McConnell added, "We hold down the damage until next year and midterm elections." That, while the president's allies focused on the successful evacuation of hundreds of thousands. Speaker Nancy Pelosi tweeting, "They helped bring over 124,000 Americans, allies, and Afghan partners to safety, an act of profound valor, selflessness, and sacrifice." But the president's critics see desperation and defensive-ness.
I refuse to continue a war that was no longer in the service of the vital national interest of our people.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the judge who called the lawyer to the bench and said, "Your argument is bad, and it doesn't get any better by being louder."
But there's an old expression, you can't talk yourself out of something you behaved yourself into. And the administration behaved itself into this.
The Biden administration is now poised to double down on its spin of an Afghanistan success. Press Secretary Psaki noting on Tuesday that the U.S. has enormous leverage and that the U.S. Federal Reserve holds $7 billion of Afghanistan's $9 billion in bank assets, all of which is frozen. James Carafano of the Conservative Heritage Foundation calls that absurd and laughable on its face, noting the Taliban sits atop trillions of dollars of rare earth metals, while also being the largest drug trafficker in South Asia. All of this is taking a toll on President Biden's popularity. The Real Clear Politics average of polls shows Biden's disapproval rating has now flipped higher than his approval rating by 3.4%. But some polls, Rasmussen in particular, shows a much greater spread. His disapproval now 14 percentage points higher than his approval in that survey, which ended, coincidentally, on August 31st. Doug McKelway for the Washington Examiner.